Last week, the trading sentiment was shaped only by the geopolitical situation. The market immediately reacted to the military operation in Ukraine by a switch to safer assets. As we know, the financial market is quite adaptable. On Friday, traders managed to make a profit from open positions, whereas risk assets recouped some of the losses. It's a high time to look through the traders' calendar to find new signals for active trading. Important macroeconomic data will be again published from Tuesday. Notably, during the Asian session, the Reserve Bank of Australia will hold a meeting. The regulator is likely to keep the key interest rate unchanged. If the prediction comes true, March will be the 14th month of the lowest benchmark rate in the history of the central bank. The Reserve Bank of Australia will hardly take radical measures amid the current geopolitical situation. That's why the Australian dollar may show a short-lived decline. Also, on Tuesday, traders who prefer the Australian dollar should pay attention to the Chinese manufacturing PMI. The data will be provided by the Chinese National Bureau of Statistics, research group Market Economics and media group CAIXIN. China's manufacturing sector is the main consumer of Australia's raw materials. According to the forecast, exports may drop due to lower domestic demand caused by the global epidemiological situation. A decline is likely to be recorded among small and medium enterprises. This information may fuel appetite for risk assets, since the traders may consider it a threat to the global economic recovery. However, a report provided by the ISM University of Management and Economics may revive optimism among investors. Thus, the US manufacturing PMI may resume rising. Notably, in January, economists recorded the slowest growth in manufacturing activity since September 2020. And such a slowdown was mainly caused by the disruptions in component supply, transportation problems, and incomplete workplace capacity amid a surge in the number of Omicron cases. Meanwhile, Canada will disclose its GDP data for the fourth quarter of 2021. The forecast is quite positive. Of course, the acceleration of the economic growth and surge in oil prices may boost the Canadian dollar. In fact, the situation has been intact for some time already. However, risk aversion may affect the Canadian dollar. As a result, it may show just a short-lived increase. Traders are likely to show the same reaction to the similar information from Australia. The report will reflect the economic situation in the last 3 months of 2021. According to the forecast, the country's GDP growth may slightly slacken. However, the real reading is likely to beat the forecast. However, traders should remember about anti-risk sentiment and short-lived effects from fundamental data. On Wednesday, the Eurozone will disclose its inflation data for February. It's one of the most important reports for the financial market. In fact, it's a preliminary report and the forecast is rather gloomy. In February, inflation may reach a new all-time high amid surging energy prices. Against this background, the quotes may slump. The publication of the US labor market figures will be the second most important event of the week. On Friday, the US Labor Department is going to unveil a change in the number of employed people. However, on Wednesday, the ADP agency will disclose its own report that reflects the situation in the private sector. As a rule, the main trend unveiled in this report meets the official data from the US Labor Department. Thus, economists expect a rise of 378,000 after an unexpected decline recorded in January. The number of new Omicron cases is falling, thus allowing the labor market to recover. And this means that the FOMC members may receive proof that the economy is ready for high interest rates. Against the backdrop, the US dollar may gain in value. While traders are waiting for decisive measures from the Fed Reserve, the Bank of Canada may rise the benchmark rate to 0.50% from 0.25%. Judging by the inflation growth, the monetary authorities will have to take such a step, following the Bank of England. The decision is likely to support the Canadian dollar. You have watched the Forex Trader Calendar on InstaForex TV channel. We wish you profitable deals with InstaForex.